Welcome to the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast, where being a badass has less to do with what you wear and what music you listen to, and everything to do with whether you've got the thriving online business of your dreams. I'm your renegade thinking Harvard Law grad turned online entrepreneur host, Bobby Klinck. In my years building my thriving business, the most important lesson I've learned is that being a badass online marketer isn't about secret strategies or ninja tactics. It's about doing the basic stuff right and showing the F up. So each week here on the show, you'll get clear, easy to execute guidance on how to build your online business and a swift kick in the ass or two to make sure you're getting it done. Hey there. Welcome to today's Friday live edition of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Klinck, and I'm excited for today's show because I'm going to give kind of one of my classic kick in the ass episodes. And specifically, I'm going to be talking about a mindset issue that I see come up over and over and over and over and over again in the online space. And I could keep saying that. And it has to do with the difference between kind of an abundance mindset and a scarcity mindset. If you've been around the online marketing space for any length of time, you've heard people say you need to have an abundance mindset. But a lot of people, when they hear abundance mindset, what they think is, oh, that means I have to think I'm going to be rich and I'm going to make lots of money and I'm on. Well, I mean, I guess maybe that's part of it. But that's not the abundance mindset I'm talking about today. I'm talking about some kind of very different perspectives that actually matter a lot more. And this is about having an abundance mindset when it comes to your people, instead of having a scarcity mindset when it comes to your people. I'm talking about people who follow you, people in your world, your buyers, all of that stuff. We need to make that shift. And I'm going to talk about a few places where it shows up that people have a scarcity mindset instead of an abundance mindset. And so I'm going to help you identify if that's the case. And then I'm going to give you a really great story. A story that my dad had told many times, and I had forgotten about it until I was talking to him earlier this week. And he reminded me of this story. And it's a story that proves the concept that I talk about all the time about having an abundance mindset. And I don't talk about it in those language, but it proves a lot of the things that I say about being a serve first entrepreneur. So that's what we're talking about today. How to make sure you have an abundance mindset towards your people instead of a scarcity mindset towards your people. Now, before we dive in, I've got to make a plug for Badass Online Marketing University, my completely free training program, which right now it has one course, Online Marketing Foundations, but we're rebuilding the tech and we're hoping everything will happen and we'll move everything over by March. There's going to be at least 3 new courses in there, hopefully 4 new courses in there when we move it over. You can sign up by heading to bobbyklinck.com/BOMU. Now, again, bobbyklinck.com/BOMU, that's BOMU. Now, I want to dive into this notion of how do you figure out if you have an abundance mindset or a scarcity mindset with respect to your people. And I'm going to talk about a few places where this pops up, where I'm just saying, when I look around the space, almost everyone is coming from it coming at it from a perspective of lack, of scarcity. The first place is refund policy. You see this come up over and over and over again. People don't want to have a refund policy. They want to have a no refunds policy, or they want to have a show your work policy that requires someone to do so much work that it's basically a no refunds policy. I see it all the time, and people say this and they're like, well, I'm worried if I have a refund policy, people might come in, get the valuable information, and then leave. Yeah, okay, I get it. But if you have that mindset, you're coming at this from a place of scarcity, a place of lack. You're concerned that people are going to try to screw you over. That's what you're worried about. Now, you might not use those words and you might want to put a nicer spin on it in your mind. But really what you're saying is, if I have a refund policy, people are going to come and they're going to screw me over. What I'll tell you is, this is the place where I see this the most. I see it all the time because people are afraid of it. Now, we had someone, when we did recently, we released my email marketing program, and somebody bought it, binged it in like 3 to 4 days, and then asked for a refund. And a lot of people would have been mad about that. And I kind of looked at it and I said to my team, I said, well, that's interesting. But, you got to give it to the hustlers. You got to give it to the people who are, going to get value. And I'm sitting there saying, okay, I see it. I see what you're doing there. But I didn't get mad about it. And I certainly wouldn't use that case of that happening once for me to say, I'm not going to going to have a refund policy ever again because I'm afraid someone else might do it. But so a refund policy is the first place I see this come up. The next place that I see it come up is in payment plans. And I will see this question or a related question come up over and over and over again. People don't want to extend their payment plan beyond the period that they'll be fulfilling or delivering the product. So if a course is like a 2-month course, they're like, I'm afraid I don't want to do a payment plan to let people pay more than 2 months. And I've literally heard people be concerned, not just that maybe like the payments won't go through because the card gets invalidated and then people won't come to fix it. No, I've heard people literally say, I'm concerned that if I do that, as soon as I'm done with the delivery, people will deactivate the card they bought with so they don't have to pay the rest. I hear that and I say, really? And again, it's this thing that's unfathomable to me because it is kind of a way of looking at the world that I can't fathom. I have a tough time seeing the world from the perspective of assuming that people are out there trying to screw me over every day. But again, if you're expressing this concern that I can't possibly have a problem, or that I can't possibly extend my payment plan beyond the period of delivery because I'm afraid someone is going to literally deactivate their card, that is what you're saying. You're saying you're worried people are going to screw you over. And this is kind of something I see it, and maybe you can think of other examples and other places where this happens, similar types of things in the online space. And what I will tell you is this mindset is hurting you. It's hurting you if you use that mindset and as a result say, I will not have a refund policy. I will not have a payment plan that makes my product affordable for people because I'm not willing to bear some risk of non-payment. Because people don't buy. People who would have bought, who you could have helped, who you could have served, don't get helped, don't get served because of your scarcity mindset. And now, first of all, if you view this as I want to help people, number one, that should bother you. But number two, if you're looking at it from a you perspective, it means that you're not going to make as much money as you otherwise would have because people won't buy because you're afraid of the worst instead of thinking about the best of the best. And this is where I want to tell you that this is a concern that isn't unique to the online marketing world. But my dad reminded me of a story from his business that proves kind of the point of people having this perspective of scarcity, and him, in some sense, raising me with this perspective of abundance. And it's a case, I've talked about my dad and the stores he ran many times, but he ran a chain of nice drugstores. So it was drugstores, but it also had other stuff. So nicer than a Walgreens or a CVS these days. So it had, a nice makeup and cosmetics and fragrances and all that section. It had electronics. It had me as a kid, I loved it. It had like a lot of toys. And there was this time when my dad got called down. Literally, he was like the third person to get called down because his business or his office was upstairs from the main floor. And, it had started in a dispute between a customer with just the person at the cosmetics counter. Then it had been elevated to the manager of the store, and then the cosmetics buyer had been brought down, and then finally my dad was brought down. And what had happened was a woman had come in and she had purchased a lot of cosmetics, a lot of different stuff, a lot of, different things, including, my dad calls it Aramis. I assume this is a brand, but Aramis shave balm, which is like a very expensive. This was back like in the, probably late 70s, early 80s. And it was a $12 to $15 shave balm, he said. And what had happened was this woman had bought it. Unquestionably, she had bought it. She had left the store, gone back to her hotel. She had traveled up from Mexico to purchase this for herself and from other people in her family and friends, etc. She had purchased a bunch of stuff. And she got back to her hotel. And what she said is, I got back to my hotel and these two things of shave balm were not in my bag. So she came back to the store with her receipt, said, I did not get my shave balm. And the woman at the cosmetics counter said, no, I looked around. It wasn't there. She said, no, I know I included it. I put it in your bag. I must have. And then she went and looked on the shelf, and my dad explained that at this point, they literally didn't keep a lot of the shave balm on the shelf. They only would have kept 2 bottles on the shelf. And the woman in the cosmetics area went over and said, no, there's none there. So I must have included it. Again, the manager of the store told her the same thing. The cosmetics buyer told her the same thing. And the woman said, I want to see the owner. So my dad came down, and what happened was he looked at the situation and he said, well, we don't have any more, but we will give you a refund right now, and gave her a refund of those 2 shave balms. She left the store. My dad goes back upstairs. This was actually on a Saturday. He told me this. So it was a Saturday. Most people didn't work in the office on a Saturday, but he and this cosmetics buyer happened to be working that Saturday. She walks in his office and closes the door. And literally, no one's there besides the 2 of them, but she closes the door and is mad and says, you don't understand. There's no way that she didn't get her Aramis. And she's now going to go tell everyone in the world that they can come and screw over Clinks, and didn't use the word screw over, but can kind of mistreat you. And my dad said, no. She's going to go tell everyone that she knows about how wonderful Clinks is and how they treat you right. And so this buyer would not believe him, just said, you're wrong. You're dead wrong on this. She's going to come in and it is going to become a problem for you over and over again. And at the time in the business, they had a way where if someone came in, if it was like something like this, or if someone came in without a receipt to return something or anything like that, where you couldn't tell 100% that it was a product and a return, they would keep a record of it. So this woman's name and what had happened was kept in this book somewhere. And so the cosmetics buyer said, look, I'm not a bettor, but I bet you that she's going to come back and screw you over. And my dad said, okay, well, how much do you want to bet? And the woman said, well, I don't bet. I've never bet before, so let's bet a nickel. Literally, they bet a nickel. And my dad, being kind of like me, a bit of a wise ass, said to her, okay, well, who's going to hold the money? And so literally what they did, they each pulled a nickel out of their pocket. They took a piece of tape and they walked over to the safe that was at that time in this office, taped those 2 nickels to the safe. A couple of years later, that buyer retired. On the day of her retirement, she went, pulled those 2 nickels and gave them to my dad. Because that woman never came in and screwed him. Not once. And that's a story my dad told me. And it's making me emotional because it's this wonderful kind of allegory, an example of what I preach all the time, that if you serve people right, it's not going to come back to bite you in the ass. It's going to pay off in the end. And so, I love that my dad reminded me of this story earlier this week because it's powerful. And it's powerful for this concept of approach your people from a perspective of abundance, not of lack and scarcity. The most powerful thing, or one of the most powerful things you can do in your business, if you currently are worried that people are going to be out to screw you, is to get rid of that. Because let me go ahead and tell you something. Some people are going to screw you over. If you offer refund, some people are going to take advantage of the refund policy when they shouldn't get it. Well, I'm just going to tell you, they're going to go and binge the content and get it. If you offer payment plans, you're going to have some people who don't finish out those payment plans. Let me tell you that. You shouldn't worry about it happening because it will happen. But people, again, aren't fundamentally out to screw you. And what I would say is, if people are fundamentally out to screw you, your customers, etc., that's a problem of something deeper that's happening in your messaging and when you're bringing them in. If you're bringing in the right people, you don't have to worry about that happening. Because yes, maybe one or two will happen, but for every one or two people who does it, takes advantage of you, screws you over, there will be 10, 20, 50, 100 who you will serve, who will purchase from you, who will become brand evangelists because you treat them from a place of abundance, not a place of scarcity. So instead of, adopting policies in your business that are about preventing the bad people from screwing you over, adopt policies that are about how you can best serve the good people, how you can best make sure that they have access to what they need. That's my call to action today. And if you're listening to my Tuesday podcast right now, we are in the middle of a series about being a serve first entrepreneur. And this is one of the shifts you're going to have to make. You're going to have this perspective of, I'm here to serve people, even if that means a couple of people take advantage of me. Because my interest is in service. And when your interest is in service and being a service to your audience, it will pay dividends in the long run. I can tell you my business is a testament to this. My business is where it is because I choose to serve first and come from abundance. So that's it for this episode. I'll see you again next week for another episode of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. Have a great weekend. That's it for this episode of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. Make sure to tune in next time. And in the meantime, go out and build the badass business of your dreams.